Welcome back to Politics Unusual. Zohran Mamdani recently doubled down on his stance that, if elected, he would order the NYPD to arrest the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. This, as a recent Siena College poll shows that a majority of New Yorkers polled support Mamdani's stance on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Joining us now to talk about all of this and more is Rabbi Ari Berman, president of Yeshiva University. Thank you so much for being here. So before we get to those comments, I want to start first with how the Jewish vote is impacting this election this year.
Well, thank you so much, Morgan, for having me. It's wonderful to be here. The Jewish vote is very important in New York City. This is 10% of the electorate. But I think what's at stake when it comes to this election is more than the Jewish vote. And I think the matters that Jews are concerned about in this case are matters that all New Yorkers would be concerned about.
So let's start with Mamdani's comments here. He said that he wants to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. I interviewed Congressman Jerry Nadler earlier this week, who is the longest-serving Jewish member in Congress, about this issue. He's endorsed Mamdani, but here's what he had to say about Mamdani's comments.
Well, I think Netanyahu ought to be arrested. He is, I've said publicly many times, he's the worst Jewish leader in 2,000 years. And he is clearly committing war crimes in Gaza and on the West Bank, for that matter, and mass murder, for that matter. I don't think that the mayor of New York has the authority to arrest anyone who comes to this country under the protection of the State Department.
What do you think about the congressman's comments? Do you agree with him, or what do you think?
Well, this is really important. I'll say, I'm a faith leader, a university president. I'm here as an educator because there's an issue that needs some light to be shed upon it. And that is the anti-zionism that has entered into this campaign. When a candidate says that the Jewish people do not have the right to their own state, that's a double standard. There's 28 Muslim countries, there are 13 Christian countries, that the Jews are the only people that do not have a right to their own state. That's discrimination, that's anti-Semitism. And that's what we're seeing being spoken about over here.
Andrew Cuomo, during the primary, said that anti-Zionism equals anti-Semitism. Is that something you agree with?
Yeah, and it has to be teased out. This is so important. Anti-Semitism isn't just about hate. If the candidate says that he doesn't hate the Jews, I believe him. I take Mamdani at his word. But discrimination is also anti-Semitism. And what we need to hone in on is that if one has a double standard when it comes to the Jewish people as opposed to everybody else, that's discrimination, that's anti-Semitism. When it comes to Netanyahu, that's a great example. America is not party to the ICC treaty. The one aspect that's going to happen in America where the ICC is going to be enforced is the mayor of New York arresting the Prime Minister of Israel. It's another example of discrimination, which is anti-Semitism. And he needs to be asked about it and held accountable for it. Israel is a Jewish state with equal rights to all of its citizens. There's Muslims in the Knesset, generals in the army, Supreme Court. It's a blessing to everyone as a Jewish state. And Mamdani needs to be asked his position about that.
Do you feel, though, this is such a great topic to talk about because it is so prevalent right now in the mayor's race, but do you feel like there is a sentiment right now among voters that there should be a separation between Israel and the Jewish faith? I think some people say that they can be critical of Israel while still being supportive of Jewish believers and those with ethnic backgrounds. Do you agree with that?
This is so important, Morgan. I absolutely agree with that. You can be critical of the state of Israel, critical of the policies of the government. What you can't be is deny Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state that's equal citizens for everyone. You cannot deny that. And that is what Mamdani has not endorsed, and he needs to be held accountable. Not just him, but every politician that has endorsed Mamdani needs to be asked, do they endorse other candidates where discrimination is on the platform? And if they don't, why is it just when the Jews are being discriminated against is it okay? From the governorship to the House of Representatives, to the Assembly, to the Council. Everyone who's endorsed Mamdani needs to be asked that question.
Mamdani this week also said that he wants to change the definition of anti-Semitism, putting it in line with the Biden administration's national strategy to counter anti-Semitism, saying that it combines criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism. What are your thoughts?
I think there's a misunderstanding of what this definition of anti-Semitism is. What it does is it says that there cannot be a double standard that the Jews alone are placed on. And this is a great example. You can always criticize the government of Israel. The Jews are very diverse people. A lot of people criticizing the government of the state of Israel. What's universal or near universal to the Jewish people is that everyone believes that Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state. It's a blessing to its Jewish citizens, to all of its citizens, and to the world. And that it has a basic right to exist should be affirmed by every candidate, not just in the mayoral race, but across the country. And this is very important, Morgan. If anti-Semitism and discrimination is allowed to enter into this conversation, it's not just the Jews that have to be worried. It first starts with the Jews, but it never stops with them. That's the lesson of history. We have to stop discrimination where it starts.
In many of the polls, though, I mean, and you can't always trust every poll, but in many of the polls, it shows right now that majority of Jewish voters seem to be actually supporting Mamdani. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think he has policies that are very attractive. And I'm not here to speak about politics. I'm not here to tell somebody who to vote or not vote. As an educator, we need to clarify that anti-Zionism is discrimination, is anti-Semitism. And not just Mamdani, but every politician who endorses Mamdani needs to be asked, how do they endorse a position that inside of it is discrimination? And that's very important. And it's important for Jewish New Yorkers to understand that better. Meaning, Mamdani said he doesn't hate Jews. We could take him at his word. But he is discriminating against the Jewish people. And the Jewish New Yorkers and all New Yorkers that would be bothered by that need to understand it, and he needs to be asked about that. And all the other politicians need to be asked about that as well.
Also, speaking of Andrew Cuomo, in 2024, Cuomo joined the legal defense team for Benjamin Netanyahu to help defend him against the warrant for his arrest issued by the International Criminal Court, ICC, for alleged war crimes in Gaza. But after the primary, he seems to have switched gears a bit, saying that he wants the war in Gaza to end. What do you think about his comments?
Well, he certainly didn't switch gears that the ICC was wrong to convict Benjamin Netanyahu. That is a miscarriage of justice. But you do see, and it's okay, this is what I was saying, people can have different opinions about the policies of the state of Israel, about the government of Israel, about the war in Gaza. Look, it would be a very healthy conversation and debate to have that. What we can't do is deny Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. That is discrimination and anti-Semitism.
What would be your advice to candidates as they're moving forward throughout this election to make sure that they're the people of the Jewish faith and ethnicity, that they're feeling welcome in this conversation and not left out?
Well, I would say the Jewish people in New York and America are welcome to this conversation. One of the things I've seen here and all over the country is what a blessing the Jewish people are to the country. Literally, I just gave a blessing at the United States Senate to open the session, and I was honored to deliver the benediction at President Trump's inauguration.
Incredible.
And it's a concretization of what the Jewish people are about.
Yes.
We're all about being a blessing to our society and to everyone amongst us. And as we begin the new year, if I could extend my blessing to you, Morgan, to your family, to all of our viewers, that they should have a year filled with sweetness and joy and happiness, and everyone should feel the love of God's blessing.
Well, I will definitely take that blessing. Thank you so much, Rabbi. I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you for what you're doing.